exec, el Vélez, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 105 of the Exec Talk podcast. I am your host, El Velez. What's up? What's up? Big sports weekend just happened. Big. We're gonna get into playoffs. Little one NFL move. We're gonna get into a post playoff NBA talk a little bit with some moves that have happened. And stuff that has happened. We're gonna talk Formula One. We're gonna talk NASCAR. But the first thing we got to talk about is I told y'all. But before we get to that, I'm really excited to talk about this. Kendrick versus Drake. Listen, I've heard every track multiple times. I think that there was some definitely taking off of the gloves on both sides. Both sides came with, harsh accusations and, fake kids and bad parenting and all that. But there has been some good lyrical dynamics and, the fact that Kendrick has gave us 4 records in the last week, I think is exciting. The fact that Drake, finally got out of that stupor that he was in writing lyrics, and that he really put his pen to work. But it could be ghostwriters. Who knows? That's just the Kendrick angle. But favorite song out of every single one, I have to say, is probably it's between Euphoria and Not Like Us for me. Just the bounce that both of those, the bounce and the energy those 2 songs had. After that is probably Family Matters. I always like that, but I don't count Like That as one of the songs from the battle because it was just a feature and it wasn't even a Kendrick song. It was a Future song. But overall, right now, I don't know if Drake is bowing out. Kendrick supposedly has more in the clip. So, I want to see it now. Now that they got all the personal shit out of the way, I want to see it go down lyrically and see who really got the best pen, metaphors, similes, just you can jab at each other. There's no more. I don't think there's any more dirt. That could be uncovered. Most of it has been fake anyway. So, but I want them to go lyrically back and forth. That's what I would want if they're going to keep going. If they're not going to keep going and we just enjoy this moment for what it was, 2 of the great titans of the sport, of rap, engaging in a pretty hostile battle, and pretty pen to paper type of focus and enjoyment. I think both of these artists enjoyed this. But I'm siding with Kendrick. It's just because Kendrick, he gave us 2 bangers. Coming off a feature of a banger. So I think that Kendrick kind of, beat the assignment by not just having good diss tracks like Meet the Grams. Meet the Grams was pretty good. I enjoyed Meet the Grams. 616 in LA was crazy when he says, have you ever thought that OVO be working for me? That was crazy. But overall, I just think that the more energy was definitely, Family Matters was good, but and the beat switches were nice and some jabs and the fast rapping. But I think Kendrick just kept the energy a lot more on the hit records. And also Drake gave us, he gave us push-ups, but I I already don't even think don't think of that song because Euphoria was so good. So I gave a slight edge to Kendrick. I hope that they keep going with the pens. I imagine they will because Drake dropped you know the Heart Part 6 this morning, but he kind of said it in it that he might bow out because he's bored of it. But I think Kendrick is gonna keep going because I don't think he likes him. So, but I enjoyed that. I enjoy that as a hip hop fan. And Gunna has a album coming out this weekend. That's one of my favorite artists. Love his flow. So I'm excited for that album. I love The Given a Curse. His last album, to me, it was a 10. I still bump it to this day, and I bumped it a lot when it came out. But I think this one is called One of One with the WN, like Wanna. So I'm excited. I like the cover art. Looks cool. So, and it has like 17, 18 songs. So I'm excited to get that much content from Gunna. It's been a while. All right, let's get to Formula One. Guys, it happened. It happened. We got a different winner. Oh my God. And it was in Miami. Lando Norris, shut up. First career win. Still needed help, needed luck. Caught a safety car when he was leading. Could go get a free pit stop and then, be first in front of Verstappen. But what I give Lando such an applause is he pulled away. Verstappen could be second, but in most races over the last 4 years, it's been like he's gonna catch you in like 3 laps and it's over. Like he's gonna pull away and win. But and we got to get into the fact that McLaren brought a B-spec car. I'm going to explain to you guys what that is if you guys don't know F1 lingo. All right, so you start with an A-spec car. That's your first car that you bring. This is a developmental type of series where you develop the car and make it faster and better aerodynamics, and you create new parts for it as you race during the 24-25 race season. And so McLaren, brought their second version, their version 2.0 of the car, made super upgrades to the floor and a bunch of other stuff. And it seemed like it worked. It looked fast in qualifying on Saturday. And then on Sunday, you got a break. They weren't catching Verstappen. Verstappen was pulling away a couple tenths at a time. It stayed around 3 seconds, 3.3 seconds the lead until the caution came out, the safety car, where, I don't even know why Magnussen would want to, do that to Logan Sargent. Like, it's battling for 18th, at the back of the grid in the corner. Like, I guess it's just like he was bored of the day and just like, wanted to do something. So he takes out Logan Sargent. We have a safety car, but the safety car happened during pit stops. So like Leclerc had pitted, Verstappen had pitted, like all of them had pitted, and Lando was one of the only ones that had not. So Lando cycles to the front because when you have a full safety car, a full course yellow, the guy in the front gets to get a free pit stop without losing position because you're under caution. People can't change positions. So he gets to the lead of the pack, and I got to give him credit. I thought he came out after the safety car pulled in. I thought he came out onto the straight a little bit too, like Verstappen was way too close to him. But in like 2-3 corners, he got out of DRS range by the first lap. He was at 1.1, 1.3. And he started pulling away, and he won by 7 seconds. So it was very, very nice to see that from McLaren. A very welcome sight. Got to give props to McLaren, to Zach Brown and the whole team over there. Bringing a V2 car, not giving an inch. Like trying to catch Verstappen, even though they Red Bull looks so far away. Big news out of the Red Bull camp. Adrian Newey is out at the beginning of 2025. If you guys don't know, Adrian Newey is the genius of F1. He is the main engineer and was the main engineer of technical director of Williams when they were winning championship was Rosberg and Piquet back in the 80s. Ferrari, McLaren. I mean, he's won 12 or 15 championships as a as a technical director. He's an aerodynamics genius. And he's the guy that's been on the Red Bull camp since 2010. So, you know, him leaving probably because of the Horner situation and stuff like that, or he wants a different challenge. He's always expressed that he might want to do stuff with Fernando Alonso. They asked the drivers this weekend, hey, you know, would you like Adrian Newey? And everybody was like, yeah, you get him, you win championships. And that's just what it is. So they'll go to the sport, basically, when it comes to designing cars and building them. You know, I think that he might go to Ferrari to go with Lewis to try to get him his 8th. He might go to Aston to try to get Fernando his 3rd. He's always liked Fernando. He might go to Mercedes, but I'm not sure. If he goes to Mercedes, it's definitely for George Russell. If not Kimi Antonelli, which I believe will be the driver next year, their young driver that is supposedly going to take over for Logan Sargent in the Williams team. We'll see what happens there in a couple of weeks. They said like maybe 2 to 3 more races. Maybe they get Logan out of the seat and put Kimi in. So we'll see all that. But shout out to Lando Norris, 110 starts. And you get your first win. You were one of the super wonder kids. You, Leclerc, Verstappen, and George Russell. You guys were the wonder kids that was supposed to take the sport by storm over the last few years. And unfortunately, it's only been Verstappen that has come out and really asserted himself as an all-time great and, somebody that's going to be revered and respected for the forever in the Formula One world and even, racing world. He is absolutely dominant. I don't expect this to happen again. And if it does, then we have a competitive championship because we have so many races left, more than like 15 races left. So I'm very excited if that is the prospect. Mercedes is behind right now, actually behind as in like the 4th or 5th team. Lewis is doing everything he can. So is George. They just have to bring in upgrades and hope that it gets better. But right now, I think it's McLaren posing the biggest threat to Verstappen. There was no Red Bull. There was no Checo on the podium. It was Lando, Verstappen, and Leclerc. I liked the racing. The racing was good. If I had to improve something from this race in particular in Miami, since it's like home, you got to make the out of turn 16 going down the straightaway. You got to make that DRS zone longer because you get out of that corner and the guy in front of you gets a better get off every single time that you need that little time to reel you back in. And I think that the DRS may be at 75% of the straight instead of like the 50%, or maybe even a 65% of the straight. Like I think that it would invite for more dive bombs into turn 17, going into the straight. So, I think that since the straightaway itself is not long enough. I mean, it's a short straightaway, the main straightaway, start-finish line. And then you have the back, the other DRS zone, which is the long, sweeping left, where you can dive bomb there too. But I believe that long stretch, make it 75% of it, you get DRS. I think that you'll see a lot more dive bombs. Even 65%, I think you could maybe get away with and have really more competitive racing. But I love this weekend. A lot of passing, exciting. Lando won. We'll see what happens next. Monaco's this month. So is the Indy 500. So we have a lot of very, very good racing coming up. But I'm excited. that Lando won, and shout out for his first win to the young British driver. All right, next, NASCAR. The closest finish in the history of NASCAR, 1,000th of a second. That's 0.001. Kyle Larson, Hendrick Motorsport. Got to give it to him. He fought all day. Not really fought. Like, he was at the front all day. First 3 cars consistently. Then Toyota was strong. Denny Hamlin had good long run pace, but it turned into a caution fest in the third stage. Kyle had to drive through the field before the last caution. And when he got up there, he was passing everybody, and then he got to Chris Buescher at the front in the Ford for RFK. And he tried it the lap before. It was a green white check. It was green white checker, which means it was NASCAR overtime. So they took the green, and he was right there. And he came off a 2, and he was right there. But when he came into 3, turn 3, like Buescher kind of blocked him, so he couldn't get the run off a 3. And so he kept the lead until they take the white. In turn 1, Kyle gets a little run. He comes. So he's getting closer already on the backstretch. And then in turn 3, he goes high. Buescher tries to block him, but doesn't block him enough. And Kyle came through the outside, but then Buescher coming off the corner gets the better get off because he's coming from lower. So Buescher gets like a good drive off the corner, and he like pulls away a little bit, but in the try, there's a little turn. It's because it's angled, it's slanted. So the track is, so there's a little bit before start finish line. So what Kyle Larson does, he goes behind him and then goes under him with the run he had, and he edged them by a nose. I'm talking about a nose. The picture was insane. And that was the closest finish in history. I mean, it was crazy because Chris Buescher thought he won, and his team started celebrating and everything. You see it on TV, and then the pylon changes and says Kyle Larson number 5 won, and everybody's and Kyle Larson's like, what? Wow, like Kyle Larson's one of the best in the sport. I expect him to be in the championship race for 10, 15 years to come. He already has 1 championship. Denny ran well. Buescher ran well. Reddick struggled a little bit. He was in 10th and 15th all the time. Chase Elliott managed to come and finish 3rd or 4th. Hendrick had a good race. Gibbs Racing had a good race, but when do that, don't they? Kyle Busch had a good race. He was in line to try to win, but he lost some steam there at the end, and Jimmy crashed, Jimmy Johnson. But it was a very, very exciting race. It was passing constantly. I mean, the runs that these guys get are pretty incredible. How they can maintain speed and how the air affects them. Like just like F1, like aerodynamics is huge. But yeah, so shout out to Hendrick Motorsports and Kyle Larson on the win. And we go to Darlington next. So we go to another classic track next week. All right, let's get into NBA. Actually, no, let's get a little bit into football because NBA is the bulk of this episode. So a little bit into football. So DJ Shark has signed with the Chargers. Now, this is very... it makes sense because they didn't take Neighbors. They took Joe Alt in the draft. They did take a receiver. I believe they did take a receiver. Just need to look it up because I sense that once the draft ended, like I had to, focus on NBA playoffs because that takes a lot of my attention. So, but let me get the teams here so I can know exactly what they drafted. All right. So they took Joe Alt. They took Lad McConkey. So to add DJ Chark to Lad McConkey and Quentin Johnston with Josh Palmer and Darius Davis, I think that's good. They took Brendan Rice and Cornelius Johnson. So it's a pretty good veteran ad with athleticism and speed. To add, he was with the Lions, he was with Jags. To add to that mixture, I'm really curious this year about the Chargers because they don't have that dominant number one, and who's going to step up and take that role? Johnston's going to take a second leap. Is Lad McConkey going to become your number one? So I think it's a very interesting, little developing story over there at the Chargers. Brendan Rice could be, he could show up. Cornelius Johnson, he was at Michigan with Rome. So, 1 year, $5 million. And then the other big thing, OBJ. OBJ is now Miami Dolphin. And I like the move. I like the move a lot, actually. I believe that this will be the most talented receiving core that he's ever been a part of. And I genuinely believe, and this is me speaking because I've seen him play, I genuinely believe that if he's 100% healthy, we might be the most unstoppable trio in the league. And that's saying a lot, considering, what people just added. So, but to me, if OBJ's OBJ, I mean, you got 3 first-round picks. Okay. You have a Hall of Famer in Reek. You have OBJ, who was on a Hall of Fame trajectory and might still be a Hall of Famer at the end. In the end, I'm not sure yet. I think he needs to do a little bit more, but he does have the Super Bowl. He does have the crazy beginning of his career, but he's been hurt a lot. And then Waddle's a first-round pick, a top 10 pick. He was a 7 pick. So I think that overall, Tua really has no excuse. Even his third guy is a legit dude in the NFL. 3 number ones. That's what we got. Reek, Waddle, and OBJ. If OBJ's OBJ, he's a number one. He was a number one with Cooper Kupp in the Super Bowl run. So, especially in the playoffs. So I think it's a good move. Nothing to really lose, really. You got a veteran, another one. But I think it makes this a more dynamic receiving core. He still has the speed. He can still cut on a dime. He can still take a slant 80. And so I think that all that combined with Reek and Waddle, now we have 3 chess pieces that we can move around. I think we can make some real noise and be really unguardable. I think we could be one, if not the best, top 5 offense in the league for sure. It's only $3 million. The rest of the 5.25 million is incentives. So 8.25 in total, 1 year. I mean, last time he played with Jalen Ramsey, they won chip. So if that's what's coming, I'm excited. Kelsey got extended. They gave him 2 years, $34.25 million, includes $17 million fully guaranteed. It's nice that they understand that not only to win a third championship and a three-peat and make this happen, but I'm glad that they understand that this is a lifelong chief, just like his brother was with the Eagles. All right, to the NBA, starting with the Lakers. Okay, before we get into any games, the Lakers Fire Darvin Ham. Listen, guy. A coach will be the scapegoat every single time, especially on a team that has LeBron James in it. Okay? He's the ultimate decision maker. If he said he wasn't vibing with Darvin, Pelinka has done shit on his own too. That's the GM, Rob Pelinka. He's done shit on his own too, but usually if it's done coaching staff wise and stuff like that, it comes, it has a word from Bron, stamp from Bron. Do I think that it's right to fire Darvin Ham? There's two ways to look at it. On the one half, you can look that he took you to the Western Conference Finals with a team that was just assembled a month ago and a month and a half prior at the trade deadline. And he took you to the Western Conference Finals with LeBron on a bum ankle, and AD not being fully AD for every game, and D'Lo not giving you much, and the 3-point shooting not good, and he took it to the Western Conference Finals. You lost in 5 to, you got swept actually in 5 this year. You got swept by the champions, the future champions in the Denver Nuggets. The games were close. You felt like you can win. They just executed you in the fourth quarter. All right, cool. This season, you lollygag through the season because the West is too good and you can't get yourself in a rhythm to, get out of the bottom 3 most of the season. You get into the play-in, you win the in-season tournament, all this hype and everything, you start off good, and then after the in-season tournament, it turns into mid-basketball. Good from LeBron, good from AD. They played a lot, but the team around them was not conclusive to wins. It didn't amount in wins in order to be higher up on the table. You make it to play-in. You make it past. You beat Sacramento in the second play-in game after beating Golden State. Yeah, and then after beating, not Golden State. Who was it? It's not the Pelicans. It was Sacramento, Golden State, Lakers. Oh, man. I can't believe I forgot that other team. That is crazy of me. Yeah, one plays 8 plays 9, 10, 9 plays 10. Let me just look it up, guys. Listen, sometimes I overcomplicate things, and I agree with that, and we could laugh at that. We could laugh at the fact that I sometimes, overcomplicate things. Let's just look at it. Here we go. In the playoffs. Here we go. Okay. So, Lakers beat the Pelicans and they get the 7th seed. Okay. The Kings beat the Warriors and then the Pelicans beat the Kings. Okay, so you got the 7th seed. And you go up against the Nuggets again. And this time, you win 1. You go 5. They're close. You get hit with 2 game winners at the buzzer by Jamal Murray. But the overlying theme is that you get out executed in the fourth quarter and that this team was just playing with you. You got another great series from LeBron. You get a great series from AD. so from D'Lo, so from Austin, Ruri, and you understand that you start understanding that maybe the message is not hitting, or the overall makeup of the team is not a roster constructed to be able to compete in this Western Conference, which we're going to get to. So I think that overall, if there is a change that had to be done, I think just Darvin Ham, Mr. It kind of went with like Jason Garrett, Mr. Coach Clapp. Well, this was hands in pockets, coach. That was Darvin Ham, hands in pockets, no real urgency, and sometimes you need that. You need that edge, and so what are they looking for? Because it's the Lakers, right? What are they looking for? Well, the current candidates are Mike Budenholzer, championship-winning coach with Giannis, Kenny Atkinson, championship-winning assistant coach with the Warriors, JJ Redick, which is the extremely intelligent basketball mind, and a guy that gets along with LeBron very well, and Ty Lue if available. That's because LeBron probably wants Ty Lue because he's the one that he won a championship in Cleveland with, and he likes Ty Lue. All right, Ty Lue's a great coach. JJ, I'm not sure. He's a bright basketball mind, but can he be a coach? Remains to be seen. Kenny, I've seen coach. Kenny's a good coach. Probably has more experience now than when he was with the Nets. And then Mike Budenholzer is a championship-winning coach and a great offensive coach. So, I think that Mike would probably be the best. Mike Budenholzer. Defensive and offensive attention to detail, running the best sets for the best times, good timeout caller, a guy that knows what to say, and a champion, a championship winning coach, knows what it takes, knows how it's like to be there, knows what it takes to win and win at a high level. So I think that would be the best course of action. They can go with JJ. I think that he'll do great. Ty Lue, I don't think he's leaving the Clips, even though the Clips might, we'll talk about that. But yeah, I don't think I don't think that anybody's better than Mike Budenholzer, because you're not going to get. I don't think you're going to get T. Lue. The last thing before we get into the games, Pat Riley speaks on Jimmy Butler's comments. Jimmy said that he tweeted, or he said he was interviewed, and he said if I was playing in the Boston series, Boston would be home, Knicks would be home, and then Pat Riley, the Godfather, they asked him about it today in his exit press conference at the end of the season, and he said, if you're not on the court playing, you should keep your mouth shut. And, I agree. I like Jimmy's confidence and bravado about himself. But my guy, why are you saying this now? Like, you feel me? Like, I didn't see it, I didn't see it. Like, we were an 8 seed again. We could have been a 7 seed and probably had a better matchup. Maybe still lost, but probably had more of a chance. But it is what it is. I think Jimmy might be out. I don't know. I just get this hunch that, once Pat and once Jimmy says something and Pat doesn't really agree with it, that's usually how, him and LeBron kind of split. So, I think that, depending on what happens with Cleveland, I think Pat is watching the Donovan Mitchell situation very, 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 very closely. And, who knows? Maybe he has an eye for somebody else. I would not be opposed to, inquiring to Houston. about Camp Whitmore. Got a lot of guards over there. A lot of guards. I wouldn't, maybe draft somebody like the kid from Stephon Castle, the guy from the championship winning Husky team. The Yukon Husky team. I think he has like star potential. If we want to do that, maybe there's different. If you hear my birds, I mean they just go nuts at this hour. So excuse me about that. But I think that overall, this is over. He criticized Jimmy and Tyler for not, doing things differently and approaching the approaching everything the same way and not, doing what you're supposed to and growing and stuff like that. So, I think that this is over. I think Bam is the only one that stays out of this fallout. I think there's gonna be big moves by Pat, and I'm looking forward to it. But it's gonna be an end of an era, and we're gonna, the East is weaker than the West, but Embiid will be healthy, Giannis will be healthy. You don't know who might come into the East in free agency, or or who leaves, and it becomes a little easier. But who emerges too? You got people that can emerge. So, I think it's very telling that Pat Riley says that. And to me, I think Jimmy will not be on the Heat for much longer. All right, let's get to the games. First game we're going to cover is Boston destroying us and basically just sending us home, whipping us by 38. Listen, we just talked about this. They hit threes at a crazy clip. Derek White, the fifth best player on their team, was cooking us the last two games. Step back threes, steals and layups and stuff like that. Like Jason Tatum hasn't really broken a sweat. Neither has Jaylen Brown. Overall, I think that Boston will have a tougher time. I guess you could say, like, a tougher time against, the Cavs, but they might get them out of here in 5 games. Like, I believe in the Cavs defense. It depends on Porzingis if he's healthy. If Porzingis is healthy, then Evan Mobley's going to get drawn out. You have no Jared Allen right now with a rib injury. We don't know how serious that is. So, for me, I think that overall, they're still very much going to win the East. Going to this game, the game 5, Jovic gave us 8, Caleb gave us 10, Adebayo gave us 23 and 5, 10 of 26, so not efficient at all. Hero went 6 for 19 for 15. Wright went 8 points. We got 10 from Thomas Bryant. I mean, we played everybody. Patty Mills, Highsmith. We played everybody, man. So, Hawkes didn't play. He had a strained right hip flexor. Terry Rozier, we didn't have a chance. You feel me? We really didn't have a chance. Tatum scored 16. They beat us by 38. Tatum scored 16. Horford scored 8. Holiday 10. Derek White 25 and Jaylen Brown 25. So and then Hauser 17. He went 6 for 10 from the field and 5 for 10 from 3. 5 for 8 from 3. So yeah, they just kicked our ass. Shot 40% from 3. Usual recipe for them. Out rebounded us. Out hustled us. I mean, out rebounded us by damn near almost 60. 60 rebounds. So, not 60 rebounds. What am I say? 30 rebounds. Almost by 30 rebounds, they out rebounded us. So, really not a contest that was really in question. Then we moved to game 5 of the Dallas Mavericks series. Dallas beats the Clippers in Game 5 in Dallas. Luka dropped 35 with 10 assists, an absolute dominant performance the Mavericks as a whole. 2 choke jobs by Harden and PG, 7 points, 15 points. I mean, you're not gonna do anything with that. If I'm being honest with you, you're not really doing anything with that. So that's cool, right? Next one, we're gonna talk about Dallas and games about Game 7. So, Game 6. Excuse me, Game 6, because Game 5 they won. They went up. It went up. It was 2-2. They got 1-1. Jesus, man. These series, bro. I swear. I get confused. So they went 6. The game 5 was very just a very Mavericks central game. Yeah, 35-10 from Luka, but nothing nuts. Nothing crazy. Like nothing crazy at all. Just a Mavericks game. Just a Mavericks game. A game that good scoring. Gafford played defense, and overall was a good game. But Game 6, although we're going to get into Game 6 a little bit later, the Pacers beat the Bucks 4-2. It was they started pulling away in the third quarter. They no Giannis, no Dame, and even with Dame in this game, there was no way that you were going to stop that offense. They were clicking. Naismith was hitting threes, and Nembhard and Tyrese Halliburton. You had Miles Turner going nuts. I mean, it was just too Pascal, too much. But they're, for the Milwaukee Bucks, I think that there's some things that you guys should address. The coach, first and foremost. If not, you're going to move on. You're going to move with Doc Rivers and give him a whole year. I don't know if that's wise. I would think about bringing back Mike Budenholzer, to be honest, make amends. Overall, I think that next year will be more of a potent team because I believe Middleton will be fully healthy and hopefully not get hurt. Giannis will be fully healthy and Dame will be fully healthy. They get a full offseason together, full summer, full training camp. I think that team will become a lot more polished and run the Giannis and Dame pick and roll finally as their main offense. They'll play good defense. I think, with Giannis and Brook, the defense will get back up to that level. But it's tough. It's tough, staring at those 2 contracts and, you got Chris getting 1 year older, Portis, you got an old team, you don't got a young team. So you're going to have to, live on the margins and see what you can get. But, I think that there's still very much a potent threat next year in the East. Okay. The Knicks send the Sixers home in 6. And the story is Jalen Brunson. I mean, Jalen Brunson drops another 41 and 12. The Villanova trio, which is Brunson, Hart, and DiVincenzo, just sealing it. Josh Hart, hit a 3 with 24 seconds, ice in his veins. They didn't want to double. They didn't want to leave DiVincenzo, so DiVincenzo passed it to Josh Hart. Josh Hart hit it. Actually, no. Josh Hart had the ball at the top of the key because Jalen Brunson passed it to him. All as the clock is running down, and he gets at the top of the key. he has DiVincenzo to his right. He fakes like he's passing him the ball, makes Buddy Hield shift just a little jump step to DiVincenzo. He's wide open, takes the three, and then DiVincenzo seals it, hitting some clutch free throws. Offensive rebounding was the telling separator in this series. And then OG dunks to extend the lead and win the series. What we learned about this series, Tyrese Maxey is emerging. He already emerged this season. He was the most improved player. I think that he could be a possible 28 to 30 point scorer next year. But at the same time, he has to make the right strides. Joel Embiid is getting short on is he ever going to get a championship? Even though he hasn't hit 30 yet, the knees are like 45 years old. Another surgery. He can score 35 a game and be as dominant as Shaq, but he can't play nearly half the games or even 25% of the games that Shaq did. So, if they have him healthy, they'll be a definite championship contender, especially with their roster that they have with shooters all around the floor. But at the same time, I think that it might be time to start considering, Tyrese Maxey as your primary ball, handler, scorer. Start running offense through him often. Maybe make it a little bit more balanced. But if Embiid's not there, you gotta have Maxey on timing. So, he could score 30 with him. I've seen it in the playoffs. I've seen both of them go for 30 in a game in the playoffs. So I have no doubt that he could average 30 if he actually put his mind to it, put the work in to become, he's really efficient, but just the best type of finisher he can, become a little stronger with his dribble. And he has the first step in the speed, so you don't have to worry about that. Magic defend home court, go to game 6, and then they go to game 7 and they lose. The Magic, they had a lead in game 7 at the Cavs. They should have just kept playing that way. Then they started chucking a bunch of threes, started missing them. They're not a three-point shooting team. Donovan Mitchell honestly took over in the second half. Even kept them in it in the first half with scoring like 17. And then he took over in the second half, got 37. The lane was open. Like, I don't know what type of defense they were playing, but he was getting layups left and right, beating people off the dribble. It didn't matter who it was. The Magic's defense kind of, slowed down in the second half. They couldn't hit shots. Paolo couldn't hit shots in the second half. Franz couldn't hit shots. Like, nobody could hit shots. They flipped it on them. They were up by 18 in the second quarter. And then, from that point on, the Cavs really just dominated every part of the game. The Orlando are a young team, not knowing how to close, kicking out for threes when you should take layups to keep your lead, stupid mistakes, stupid turnovers, that just takes more chemistry. It takes another summer. I think that they're going to be a threat next year, and the reason I say that is because Paolo Banchero at 21 years old is crazy, and him and Franz, 21, 22, I think that they're going to be like the OKC of the East. They have so much talent. Jalen Suggs, everybody's young, even Markelle Fultz. J.I. had a healthy season for the first time in his career. He still got Cole Anthony. Excuse me. So I think that their future's bright. Jamal Mosley is a great coach, and I think they have a good culture. They're a good defensive culture. They just have to get better shooting. They're young. They'll get better at shooting, but overall, I think that, now I understand why Clay was in the rumors. If they were to go to another team this summer, Orlando was one of them because they need that type of shooter. But I got to give it to the Magic. Valiant effort took them to 7 games. People thought they were gonna get swept after game one, and you guys after game 1 and 2, and you guys came back. Everybody won on their home floor. You defended home court. You were in the games. In game 5 and in game 7, you were in position to be able to win, especially game 5. You should have ended this in game 5, but you gave up that lead late. Stuff you learn from, and you get better, and I think that they'll be a threat in the East for sure. I don't put them at the same caliber as a healthy, Bucks and a Boston, or even maybe a Knicks, just because of the experience and the toughness. But they're a tough team too. But definitely up there in the top 5 in the East, that are definitely going to make some noise OKC style next year. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, I mean, they literally just won this to get mollywopped by the Boston Celtics. If they get 2 games, I'd be impressed. I don't know if Jared Allen is going to be good with that rib injury. Evan Mobley has to become a better attacker at the rim. I don't know how they're going to do rebounding. But overall, I think that once Donovan Mitchell possibly gets swept or sent out of here, with with another L, this time in the second round, maybe getting a game, maybe 2 against these Boston Celtics, I think that you'll see him definitely be shopped by Cleveland. I think Cleveland does a mini blow up, searching for a new star or bringing somebody else in. But I think Donovan Mitchell maybe has his sights set. If it's not still New York, maybe Miami. Who knows? I'm just spitballing right now, but I think Donovan Mitchell went to Cleveland to try to win a championship because he saw Darius Garland and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, and saw and added Strus and stuff like that. But I think he realizes that there is no way to get past Boston. You barely can get past the Bucks. So I think, and the Knicks still there. So I think this series, if it goes 7, not saying it will, but if it goes 7, it's the Celtics' fault. It's the Celtics' fault for not being aggressive. It's the Celtics' fault for shooting too many threes. It's the Celtics' fault for not rebounding, for not playing defense. If there's any lulls, Cleveland will capitalize. Both Garland and especially Donovan Mitchell, they're playing good. Donovan especially. Evan Mobley's been pretty good, especially on the rebounding end. If Jared Allen comes back, it's another big to throw at KP. If KP's healthy with that calf strain, that soleus, it's the same thing as Jamal Murray. Like, if they're not fully healthy, like, do they get hampered to the point where they could get knocked off? I don't think so. I think Jason Tatum might start waking up this series. Jaylen Brown as well, but Derek White is playing great. So we'll see what happens there. But shout out to the Magic for making it a good run this year, even though you guys are basically in year 2 of your rebuild. It's incredible to see an OKC-ish type of production. Okay, so then we get into Ant. I told you guys. Actually, no, let's do Mavs game 7. So it was a close game at the beginning. First half, it was a close game. And I believe the Mavs were leading by 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 20. Yeah, so around there. It was halftime. Halftime was basically 52-52. Yeah, 54-52. So Super close game, and then Luka and Kyrie started pulling away. I mean, PJ Tucker had 8 points. Paul George had 18. He went 6 for 18, so he went 2 for 10 from 3, so he didn't have a good game. Playoff P. Zubac had a good game, 17 and 11. James Harden he went 5 for 16, 16 points. I mean, nobody shot good at all. Terrence Mann, 14 points. Norman Powell gave him 20. But then, PJ Washington gave him 14. Derrick Jones gave him 6. Gafford gave you 13. You got 30 from Kyrie. You got 28 from Luka, and 13 assists and 7 rebounds. You got 36 and 4 from Kyrie, 5 from 9 from 3, 11 of 19. Maxi Kleber is bad. It separated his shoulder. He's not going to be around for the rest of the playoffs. That's a big loss because that's how they stretch the floor with that bench unit. When they remove Daniel Gafford or Derrick Jones. So I expect Dwight Powell to play a little bit more. And, Derek Lively gave him 10 and 9, so that was pretty good. Josh Green gave you 7, 1 from 3. Exum gave you 2. So they just dominated the second half. That's what I expected this series to turn into, honestly. No Kawhi, and even with Kawhi, they couldn't win. Their best bet was to have no Kawhi, and, maybe with a healthy Kawhi, like a fully healthy Kawhi, this could have been definitely a 7-game series, but I kind of knew that Dallas would prevail here. I think it's just too much firepower, especially with Kyrie and Luka being two of the best fourth quarter scorers, honestly, of all time. But especially in the playoffs. But overall, for the Clippers, I think it's time to blow it up. All right, it's time for questions to be answered. It's time for this noise to go away. And shit's going to get scary over there. People are going to move on. Paul George possibly on the move. Kawhi going into a new arena. Who do you want? Do you want the old guard? Do you want to keep this old core? Do you go out and try to get a young star or a young player, like you try to make a Brunson type of move? I don't think there's a Brunson type of player out there, but, if you see one, I don't think Jalen Williams is going to leave OKC. Or anything like that. So I think that overall, you gotta blow it up, man. It's over. Like, too many old guys. They didn't pan out. You didn't get out of the first round. You got beat by Dallas again. Kawhi wasn't healthy again. Maybe you bring back Paul George and James Harden and run it like that, like you were in the last 2 games of the playoffs, or you move on. You move on and you break this team up. You keep Terrence Mann. You keep Norman Powell, Zubac, and you move on forward and get some draft picks for them people and a good player. Maybe you inquire about G.G. Jackson in the Grizzlies and stuff like that. Like, that's what I'm talking about right here, man. Maybe you want to bring in DeMar DeRozan, like Zach LaVine. I mean, there's a lot of things, but at the same time, I think that it's going to be a little tough now for the Clippers, especially if they do blow it up. For Dallas, tough series. Tough series against OKC. Tough series. Okay? Now let's get to my boy. Let's get to the guy that I've been saying for a year was the truth. Okay? The truth, Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man. You know what I'm saying? AE1, AE5. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I told you last year when he faced the Nuggets, he gave him 30 a game. Over this season, he's giving them 33 a game when they play each other in the regular season. Game 1. Okay? Game 1. He goes off 25 in the first half. And this series is going 7, I still believe. even though I want to believe that Ant, if he's on that type of timing, he might want to get that. He might want to sweep these boys. If not, he wants to get them out of here in 5. But I think Denver's too good, too much championship pedigree, too much cohesiveness. Mike Malone is too much of a good coach. Jokic is too good of a good player. So is Jamal Murray and MPJ and Aaron Gordon, KCP, to allow that. But winning game 1 on the road against the defending champs that they haven't lost it at home since this championship run started last year is absolutely incredible. The first time that how do I say this? The first time that they're down in a series, they're down 1-0. They have to climb back. The first time that they're down in the series since the beginning of the run last year. But Ant gave them 43, and the new face of the NBA has arrived. The defense was stifling by the Wolves in the first half. They jumped out to like an 18-point lead. Denver walked them down. It was a close game at the end. Naz Reid put in 14 huge points in the fourth quarter. Really came alive. Mike Conley came alive in the third. Cat was playing well. Rudy was playing incredible defense. But then Ant in the first half kept them in it. Brought that first punch. His first shot was a 3 in the face of KCP. Like, I'm here. Then as soon as Denver got the ball, he went full court press on Jamal Murray to say, I'm here. Like, game 2's tonight. I'm very excited. I think I got Denver. Just because if Ant wins this game, oh yeah, we're gonna be talking about Ant possibly winning the championship at 22. 22? Man. Even MJ had to wait till 26. 27. So, I've been saying this. I love seeing him play. He's my favorite player. I need a jersey for sure. I need a jersey. That white one's so clean with the green and blue, but I think that the Timberwolves can make it very, very tough on Denver. They're more athletic than Denver, bigger and more lengthy than Denver, and they made Jokic work. Jokic got his 32 points, but they made him work. Jamal's hurt right now. The calf is really hurting him on his lift and his shot, stuff like that. He can still take over like he did in the second half, but and dropped 17. But he had 0 for the first time in his career in the first half, held scoreless. The defense was stifling from Jaden and Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, even Cat, Mike Williams, Walker, Naz Reid, Kyle Anderson. Like, this team is the number 1 defense in the NBA. I think Jokic will figure it out. I think Jamal will get better as the series goes on. But I still got Ant going nuts. I think he averages 35 in this series. Like, there's nothing to stop him. KCP can't stop him. He's too small in weight-wise. He's a great defender, but he's too small weight-wise. Aaron Gordon's not fast enough. MPJ is not smart enough on the defensive end. Like, Jamal's too small. So it's tough because you cannot, once he gets it going, it's over. Like, he's taking you to the mid-range. He's driving. Then he's hitting you with the 3. Like, he went 17 for 29. Like, he was efficient. In the fourth quarter, he leads everybody in the playoffs, 10.7 points a game. He's shooting 69% from the field, shooting 50% from 3, 14 of 14 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter. So he's a closer. And I think he's just going to keep attacking. He wants this. I think that he feels that he can get a championship this year. And if he beats the Denver, they're not beating the Boston Celtics ain't beating this team. Boston ain't beating this team. This team is too focused, too defensively. They're not going to even let you shoot threes. And Ant could cover Brown or Tatum. Derek White, like Jaden McDaniels. Like I think that if Minnesota, whoever wins this series is the champion. I think. And Perk said they're going to the NBA Finals. I say if they win this series, they're winning the chip, and Ant's getting Finals MVP. And that would be the best way to just stamp I'm here. But the moves, man. I mean, you got the tween against Aaron Gordon in the fourth. Crossover, snatch back, fade away, wet. On the other side, on the baseline against KCP, wop, turn around Jay, boom, wet with a minute left, like sealing shit, getting fouled, sinking the free throws, playing defense. I mean, it's everything, man. It's everything. The smile, the charisma, the way that he looks on the court. It is MJ and Kobe. The mentality, though, I want to tear you. He said that to KC. He said that about KCP. He's my dog. He's my brother, but I want to tear his head off. There is not that type of player since Kobe and Mike. That's the mentality of the greatest of the greats. And I believe he can be one of them, man. And I love that he's 22, so much more to go. When he's 25, 26, 27, he's going to win MVPs. I think he wins MVP next year. If they would have gotten the number one seed, he had a case this year, but Luka and Shea and Jokic, but, and Giannis, but next year I think he'll be the front runner, especially if he wins this chip. But man, I think it's going to be a great series. I'm excited. I think Jamal will get better as the series goes on. MPJ's still going to be shooting well, and Michael Malone is an amazing coach. So moving on to baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, for you guys that are Marlins fans, I'm not saying that myself are, but I live in Marlins territory, so I have to talk about the team as if I was a fan, but I am, because I like my home team, and we won championships in 97 and 96 and 2003, but it's been a while. I think that moving Luis Ariz to the Padres, especially because of the type of wins that we had 8 wins on the season. A guy like that, 2-time batting champ, he's not going to stay around for that. So we traded him to the Padres, and it's his first Padres game. This man goes 4 for 4. First Padre ever in his debut to go 4 for 4. Yeah. Marlins suck. We are a single A team now. We were a double A team with Ariz. Now we're a single A team in the MLB, and it's incredible to see how much of bad baseball we play. It is incredible. I wish Jazz would just be his superstar self finally, and just hit 40 tanks and steal like 40 bases. But it doesn't seem like he's taking it really seriously. I can't blame him. I mean, this team is garbage. They go to the park and they're not expecting to win. The pitchers could give you a good outing, but the bullpen will shit the bed. It's just bad. But shout out to Luis Ariz going to the Padres. On the NBA front, we got Thunder Mavericks. Tomorrow, game 1. I think it's, to me, I think because of the experience, I think the Mavericks can take game 1, but OKC's favored by 3.5. So I think the Thunder might probably defend home court there. Timberwolves, Nuggets tonight. I believe the Nuggets get it. Game 1 of Cavaliers Celtics, that's tomorrow. Celtics are probably going to win that by a comfortable margin. I believe game 1s are always good. And then Pacers Knicks, I think Knicks win the first one. I think that can go 7. Just because of the contrasting in styles. You have the Knicks having to be, they're slow, and Indiana wants to run. So it's whoever misses, and I think the Knicks have to dominate the rebounding. Their defense will take care of itself, but they have to dominate the defensive rebounds. And for Indiana, they have to get turnovers, and they have to be in the 125 offensive rating spectrum, what they were in the regular season, the run and gun, the 3 barrage from everybody. Tyrese Halliburton's going to have to play like a superstar in this series, though, because he's going to have Josh Hart on him, and he's no picnic. He's also going to have DiVincenzo on him. Some Brunson probably, but I think that Tyrese has to be the full package that he was before the injury. We'll see if he gets there. I think Brunson's going to dominate this series in, even more than the Sixers series. I mean, you had Embiid, which was, a fairly, large obstacle to go through in the paint. In this series, he can cook every single one person on the floor. He can cook Pascal. He can cook Tyrese. He can cook Nembhard. He can cook Naismith. Anybody you put on him, he's cooking them. I don't think there's anybody in this series that can cover Jalen Brunson. And at the same time, I don't think that the Knicks have enough of a 3-point barrage to compete with Indiana if they're going on all cylinders. So it'll be an interesting series. I think Tom Thibodeau's the better coach. The championship is with Rick Carlisle because of Dallas years, so that he knows what it takes. Good coaching matchup. Good matchup of stars. Tyrese versus Jalen Brunson. The role players are going to mean a lot. I'm talking about Obi Toppin, Nembhard, Naismith. I'm talking about DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Miles McBride, Mitchell Robinson. Like those guys are going to determine this series. I think that Tyrese and Jalen are going to be the stars of it, and Pascal. But I think that Jalen ultimately prevails in 6, and goes to the Eastern Conference Finals. But on to baseball. So, the standings are pretty, they're pretty close, pretty even at the top, at least. For example, American League East, Baltimore and New York are separated by a game. Then you have 4.5 game difference to Boston. In the last 10 games, Baltimore 7-3, pitching well, hitting well. Gunnar Henderson's playing incredible. Adley Rutschman has found his bat a little bit. You still have Mountcastle, and you still have Cowser, you still have Westberg. You brought up Kerstad, O'Hearn. Like, you have so much to go. Mateo, you have so much to do. They have a 55-plus run differential, which is incredible. They've won 4 in a row. Then you have the Yankees. They've 6-4 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. Nestor's pitching well. Stroman, Gil's pitching well. Rodon's pitching well as of late. Judge has started to pick it up with the power. Giancarlo's hitting doubles here and there. He still has to be a little bit more consistent at the plate. But Soto's still playing extremely well. Doogie's playing great. So they have a really good team this year. Boston is 5-5 in their last 10. Pitching still good, just sometimes they don't hit. Tampa finally is not last. They're 6.5 games back, 5-5 in their last 10, won 3 in a row. Their pitching has started to do a little bit better. Rosarena has kind of woken up a little bit. Still need Jose Siri, Jose Caballero, Paredes, Ramirez. Like we have to get everybody clicking, but they're starting to turn the corner a little bit. And then Toronto 7.5 games back. They're 3-7 in their last 10. It's tough. Their pitching gives them something with Gosman, Bassett, Barrios, but Yusuke Kikuchi, but their hitting is not like Vladdy's not being Vlad. Bo Bichette hasn't been Bo Bichette all year. Schneider, Jansen, Biggio, like Kiermaier just came back and hit a bomb, but you need more offensive production. They have a -37 run differential. That is bad. In the Central, Cleveland, they're 5-5 in their last 10. J-Rams playing well. Tanner Bybee's pitching well. Still got Gavin Williams. They're playing well. It's just like, they're gonna win their division. They're 2.5 games up on the Twins. The Twins they're 9-1 in their last 10. They just lost. They had a 10-game winning streak. They were the hottest team in baseball. Pablo Lopez was pitching great. Louis Varland. Correa started to figure out. But I think that they still need a little bit more cooking. You have Kansas City. They're 2.5 games back. So basically tied with Minnesota. Bobby Witt's playing well. Cole Reagan's pitching well. They're 5-5 in the last 10. Singer's pitching well. That new kid, I forgot his name. Let me see if he's on the roster. It's a new pitcher. He pitched well too. Seth Lugo's been pitching well. Cole Reagan, Schneider, Singer, Will Smith, Stratton. Man, I forgot, but they brought up a good kid that pitched pretty well. Overall, I think the Royals are going to be fine. Salvi's doing dumb stuff like at his age. Bobby's playing well. I think MJ Melendez has to wake up. Michael Franco has to wake up. Freddie Fermin, like there's people that have to wake up. Pat Vinny, but I think that they can definitely do that with the pitching that they have. You have Detroit. They're 4 games back, 4-6 in the last 10. Their hitting kind of has gone down. Tarek Skubal's still pitching amazing, but their pitching rotation's kind of after Tarek Skubal. Looking at it, it's and Jack Flaherty's been pitching well. So is Jason Foley, but he's in the back end. Kenta Maeda is kind of getting old. Casey Mize is pitching okay. So is Reese Olson. But I think Tarek Skubal is still in line to go get that Cy Young. It's still very early, but I think he has it. We don't not talk about no Chicago White Sox. They're 5-5 in the last 10. Minus 82 run differential, worst in the MLB. Absolutely awful. Even worse than Colorado, worse than the Marlins. Minus 82 is bad. Garrett Crochet is the only good thing on that team besides Louis Rober, but he's hurt, so never healthy. It's time to blow this up and get rid of a lot of people. Seattle, 7-3 in the last 10, 1-2 in a row. Julio's playing well. And you have every pitcher pitching well. Bryce is pitching well. You have Logan Gilbert's pitching well. Luis Castillo's pitching well. George Kirby's pitching well. Like everybody's pitching well. Their hitting is starting to come into fruition. Julio's woken up a little bit. I think that overall, Kyle Raleigh has hit bombs. Ty Francis has to wake up a little bit. Jorge Polanco has who has to wake up. That's who has to wake up for real. Mitch Haniger has been playing well. Mitch Garver's been playing well. So Julio getting that wake up, I think it did good for him. And now they're half a game in front of Texas, but a very good start to the season after a little rough patch with Julio not hitting. Texas is 6-4, 1-2, they're 2 in a row. Adolis is playing great. Corey Seager starting to kind of figure it out. Wyatt Langford is kind of figuring it out. Evan Carter, Jonah Heim is playing well. Simeon's playing well. They're the defending champs. They're gonna be there. The A's, 2.5 games back, very surprising. 8-2 in their last 10. Have only lost 1 game. Lawrence Butler's playing well. Zach Geloff. The rotation's good. You have Paulie Punchout and Paul Blackburn. You got a guy like Lucas Urseg setting up. Setting up Mason Miller at the end of the games, and they just get enough from J.P. Sears and Ross Stripling and Alex Wood. They just get enough. Paul Blackburn is their starting, pitcher, I believe. I believe that's their ace. But they're playing well. Zach Geloff is playing well. Shea Langoliers, Brent Rooker. They're doing well with what they have over there. Houston 7 games back. They're still not out of it. 5-5 in the last 10. I think that they're starting to figure out. They just need their pitchers to come back. The hitting is starting to come around, but they got to pick it up. And then the Angels, Mike Trout tore his meniscus. He's going to be out for a while. He was on an MVP pace this year with already 10 bombs. I feel bad for him. He's always been hurt the last 3-4 years. He hasn't been able to be his true self for a prolonged period of time. Maybe the team, with old Hoppy and Shanoel and Neto and Rendon, Drury, Ward, maybe they wake up the youth, but then pitching is a problem. So, unfortunately, it looks like the A's have started the decline. For the National League, Phillies are up right now, 2.5 games up on the Braves. They're 9-1 in their last 10, won 5 in a row. Pitching's great. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez. Hitting's great. Castellanos has woken up a little bit. You still have Bryce, Kyle Schwarber. Alec Boehm is one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now. JT has to wake up a little bit more. But they're playing absolutely incredible baseball. Atlanta's doing great too. Acuna has to find his power stroke. He hit another bomb recently, but they've lost 3 in a row, 4-6 in the last 10. I don't know what's happening there. The loss of, Strider really hurts them, on a fifth-day basis. But then you got Washington at 6.5 games back, so there's a little bit of separation. They've won 7 of the last 10, 7-3. CJ Abrams has broke out, which I was expecting this year. The kid just have mad power, great shortstop skills, just a 5-tool player, can steal bases, has, can hit to all fields, has a beautiful swing, no hinges, just free, easy power. But, their pitching is the problem. Josiah Gray and Mackenzie Gore, Corbin, they let up too many runs, man. Too many runs. The Mets are 7.5 games back. They're 3-7 in the last 10. They've been struggling. Miami is 4-6 in the last 10. We're already 14.5 games back. It's over for us. Like I said, we traded Luis Arias. We're a single A team. The Central, Milwaukee and Chicago are both tied. They had a great series. They're 5-5, both of them in their last 10. I think right now I like Milwaukee a little bit more just because of Freddie and Wilson and Contreras and Adames and Churio, Terang. But I love the Cubs because of Christopher Morel, Assad on the bump. You still have Justin Steele, which I haven't seen because I think he's hurt. Assad has been playing well, but I like these two teams, and they're going to battle it out the rest of the year. Then you got Cincinnati. They're 4.5 games back. They just have to get their pitching better. Hunter Green has to be more consistent. Abbott has to be more consistent. Lodolo. And they have to hit in timely fashion. India hasn't woken up. It's Ellie and kind of everybody just right now for themselves. Steer hasn't really broken up, so so I expect them to be better, but they've lost 5 in a row, and they've won 2 of the last 8 at 10. 2-8 is looking rough right now. Pittsburgh 3-7 in the last 10, trying to build something. Jared Jones is probably the best young pitcher in the league. He just challenges people. 97, 98, painted corner. Come get it. Just wonderful pitching. Youngest guy to go 10 strikeouts with, I believe, no walks in back-to-back games in Pirates history or ever. The guy's an absolute machine. The way he pitches, the control, the aggression, I love it. But, Pittsburgh's still struggling. 5 back, so they're still in it, but, still tough right now. And then St. Louis is 5.5 back, 5-5 in the last 10. They might be able to pick up something, but they still have an old pitching staff. Sonny Gray's their ace. And then, you know, your Burleson and Donovan and you know and Goals and Goldie and Nolan Arenado, like they're all old. Like, you know, like you're hoping for old people to just give you more production, and it's not happening right now. In the West, the Dodgers are 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. Otani's going nuts. Mookie's going nuts. Freddie Freeman's still himself. Will Smith is going nuts. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's going nuts on the mound. You still got a good pitcher in Gavin Stone. You know, their pitching is great with Glass now. Like, it's so stacked. Top to you. Michael Grove is pitching well. You know, James Paxton puts in a couple, starts, but overall it's going great for them, and it's only going to get better in my opinion, to be honest. And then moving down the line, you got the San Diego Padres that just got Arraez. Dylan Cease is pitching well for them. They're 4-6 in the last 10. They're 5.5 games back, so the Dodgers are starting to pull away a little bit. Arizona 7.5 games back. Carroll hasn't started hitting yet. They're 3-7 in their last 10. It's getting tough for them. The pitching has to be better, but Kelly being hurt or Gallen being hurt is not helping them. San Francisco 7.5 games back, tied with Arizona. Logan Webb is pitching well. Harrison's pitching well, but they're 3-7 in their last 10. They just can't score runs. And then Colorado's 14 games back, 2-8 in the last 10. They're over. It's done for them. And that is baseball. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being a fan. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We are here. I'm excited for what's to come in this second round of the playoffs, racing, NFL moves, NBA moves in the offseason. I love it. Love everything about it. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. I'm El Velez, is the Exec Talk podcast, and I'll leave you with the outro.
El fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden